Hey guys, welcome back. So this is the first video of the series, and I'll be talking about the mini cut, like the benefits of the mini cut, why you should do a mini cut, and how you should plan your own mini cut. So we start out with why should you do a mini cut? A mini cut works wonders for you in the sense that it allows you to maintain a certain level of body fat that is primed for muscle growth. So we know that there is a certain bracket of body fat percentage where you put on the most amount of muscle. That is between 9 to 15% body fat. Anything above that and you start compromising on the quality, you add more fat than muscle. The second reason is that a mini cut will help you improve your insulin resistance. So when you're bulking and after a long bulk, you've been feeding yourself so much, you've been putting in so much food, your insulin goes through the roof, your insulin resistance decreases, and you tend to store more body fat than you need to. The higher your insulin stays, the more body fat you're predisposed to. So a mini cut helps you lower down, improve your insulin resistance, and then it also helps you save muscle mass in the long run, because if you bulk for too long and you go beyond a level like, say for example 15% body fat, then it will also take you a lot of time to come back down, and in that process, in that elongated cut, you will lose more muscle mass. Okay, so these are some of the terms that you should know about before you start planning your cutting program. We'll start out with basal metabolic rate. So this is the amount of calories your body needs at rest. Okay, so for your bodily daily functions, this is the amount of food that you need to be consuming to maintain yourself. Your BMR is the amount of energy that your body uses for functions like sleeping, eating, repairing, and thinking, basically all the bodily functions. TDEE, that is total daily energy expenditure. So this is the amount of activity, this is the amount of calories that your body burns through activity and all of the things that you do in a day. Not just bodily functions, but from exercise. This accounts for exercise, normal daily activities like drying clothes, something like that. The next term is NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is the amount of calories that you burn through something which is non-exercise, which you are not intentionally doing. Say for example, if you're walking around in your office for work, that will come under NEAT. The next term is TEF, thermic effect of food. So when we eat food, the process of digesting that food and converting it into energy also requires energy. So that is what TEF is, thermic effect of food. Some foods have a higher threshold, meaning some foods require more energy to be burnt in order for them to be used by the body, and those foods are mainly high protein foods. Like protein is a macronutrient your body has difficulty breaking down, so it requires more energy to break that down. The next is TEPA, thermic effect of physical activity. So basically, when you do an activity, say you're doing cardio, you're elevating your core temperature, right? You're elevating your heart rate. That is what accounts for thermic effect of physical activity, the amount of energy that you're expending. And then we come to a calorie deficit. So in order to cut, you need to be in a calorie deficit. What that means is your BMR is the amount of energy you need to maintain yourself, right? Your basal metabolic rate. To that, we add all three of these: NEAT, TEF, TEPA, okay? And that accounts for your total daily energy expenditure. So in simple terms, your BMR is the amount of calories you need to maintain yourself, to do your bodily functions, okay? Add to that the amount of calories you spend doing all the activities in the day, be it walking and or specifically training. And that number that comes out is the amount of calories you need to eat to maintain yourself. If you eat more than that amount of calories, then you will gain weight. If you eat less than that, you will lose weight. So BMR plus total daily energy expenditure, if it comes out to be say 2k calories, right? Then you need to be eating at least 1199. This is the amount of calories you need. Now you're in a calorie deficit and you will burn fat. Why is that? That is because when you eat in a surplus of calories, calories are basically fuel, right? That they're fuel for your body. So when you provide your body with fuel that is in excess, your body stores it as reserve, and fats on our body are reserve fuel. So when you eat in a calorie deficit, that is, you provide your body with less amount of resources than it needs to function, it uses that reserve fuel in order to fuel its activities. So that is how you burn fat. Now, once you're in a calorie deficit, how do you execute it? So basically, you have to eat less than maintenance, right? So which is less than your BMR plus TDEE. Tools to create a deficit. Okay. Also, coming back to BMR, how can you know your BMR? There's a formula for it. You can go onto Google and there are calculators that can help you figure out your BMR. And your total daily energy expenditure will depend on your lifestyle. If you're an active individual, it will be higher. If you're a sedentary individual, it will be lower. So that you need to figure out for yourself. Yeah. So coming back to tools to create a deficit. Okay. So we need NEAT, TEPA, and cutting calories. Okay. So that means how do we create a deficit? We use non-exercise activity thermogenesis. In general, we be more active and improve our activity levels. Then next we use the thermic effect of physical activity, wherein we exercise, and that contributes to the deficit as well. The third thing that we do, and which should be the last thing that you do, is cutting out food. Okay, decreasing the amount of calories you're consuming directly. The next point is macros during a cut. Okay, so what are the macros that you should have during a cut? Now you've figured out what your deficit calories are and you're eating at that, but how should you differentiate those between carbs, fats, and proteins? So the higher the protein intake, the better it is, because when you're in a deficit, muscle mass is something that the body has a very hard time building and preserving. It's a very highly metabolic tissue which requires a lot of energy. So in the efforts of saving muscle mass, you need to keep your protein intake as high as possible so that your body does not sacrifice that tissue in order to convert it into energy and use it as fuel. Then, and about carbs, then coming to carbs, timing your carbs is very important. All of this is, the nitty-gritties of it. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will burn fat, but if you are eating carbs and you're very particular about, you want to be efficient to the core, then timing your carbs is very important. You want to time your carbs around your workout. So pre-workout and post-workout would be the best times. There is no such thing as eating carbs at late at night that will make you gain fat. It's just that eating carbs prior to working out will fuel your workout. At the end of it, it will help spike insulin levels so that the nutrients that you consume then will be shuttled to your muscle and recovery would be faster. Okay, so coming to training during a cut. How do we train during a cut? ये एक बहुत age old myth है कि you start doing high reps when you're on a cut, but that is the total opposite of what you should be doing, because your muscle mass, the muscle mass that you build pushing a certain amount of weight, needs that stimulus to maintain itself. So if you start dropping the weight, if you start dropping the intensity, then your muscle mass will also start declining. So what we want to do is intensity, we need it to remain the same throughout the workout. You may do less volume, but do not drop down in the intensity, which is the weight you're pushing. Okay, so the basic underlining of that is that you need to save strength in order to save muscle. The first parameter of gauging if you're building muscle is that if you're building strength. If you're building strength, that you're building muscle. So by that logic, if you're saving strength, then you're saving muscle. If you can move a certain amount of weight, then that weight requires a certain amount of muscle to be pushed. So if you're saving muscle, you need to save strength. Now coming to the speed of the cut. Why should we cut slowly? Okay, the bigger your deficit is, the faster your cut is, right? But also the easier it is for you to lose muscle mass, because your body has a graver scarcity of resources. So it will burn more muscle, or it will tend to burn more resources that the body has in order to compensate. So we want our cut to be slow. Okay, and what determines the speed of the cut? So basically 3500 calories ka deficit jab aap kar lete ho, that equals to around half a kg of body fat. So say for example, you are in a deficit of 500 calories every day for the next 7 days. then you'll be losing half a kg of fat. That is how you determine the speed. If you want to go faster, then you increase those calories, and those could be range from anywhere. So if you want to burn, let's say, double that amount, then you will be creating a deficit of 1000 calories per day for 7 days. That will come to 7000 calories ka deficit, which will lead to a kg of weight loss per week. Yes. So coming to fat loss aids, in terms of supplementing or using a fat loss aid, something that will help you burn more body fat, you can consume caffeine, dosed at about 3 milligrams per kg of body weight. So if you're like an 80 kg individual, it will come out to somewhere around 240 milligrams of caffeine. That will help you burn some extra fat. It's not like a crazy transformation product. It will not get you shredded without doing anything else. It will just add to it. It will just add to your efforts. Okay, the most important thing is good sleep. So your sleep consists of REM cycles. Okay, the first REM cycle, there are about 3 to 5 REM cycles on an average in an individual's sleep. The first REM cycle kicks in at about 90 minutes and they last longer consecutively. So the first cycle would last a certain amount of time, the next one would last longer. Okay, so the last REM cycle is the one that lasts for around 90 minutes. But the point is, we don't want to do REM cycles as much. Okay, so REM cycles are the periods of sleep where you have rapid eye movement. That is like when you're dreaming. All of those kind of sleep are not the best for recovery. So if you just get 3 hours of sleep at night, then the deep sleep that you have is compromised, because most of your time would go into an REM sleep. So what we want to do is, we want to sleep at a stretch for at least 8 hours a night and focus on getting deep sleep, quality sleep that will help us recover better. And the final point is hydration. So hydration is very important for performance, and the way your body excretes fat is also through urine. So you want to burn fat, but you want to remove it from the body also. So you need to drink a lot of water. Drink at least 5 to 6 liters of water every day. And yeah, that's about it. Also, I would like to mention, when we talked about macros during cut, okay, so what's the difference between a higher fat diet or a higher carb diet? Okay, you lose more fat supposedly. Like there's this myth that you lose more fat when you cut out carbs and do a keto diet. Okay, that's not the case. It comes down to calories in versus calories out. If you're eating less, then you'll burn more fat. But why there are some cases where you lose more fat or more weight, I should say, in the beginning of your diet when you cut out carbs? That's because carbs hold water. For every gram of carb that you eat, it holds 3 grams of water. So once you start cutting out carbs, that's the water that your body is flushing out. The water your body is not holding anymore. So it isn't actually fat that you're losing water. At the end of it, it'll come down to the same levels of body fat. If you increase fat or lower carbs, it's not a thing that will make a difference. And also, you want to keep your fats lower during a cut, because fats are the secondary energy source, right? The primary one is carbs. Okay, your body gets carbs, it converts it into glucose and uses it. Okay, but fats your body uses when it has a scarcity of fuel. So the fact that you eat, if beyond a certain point, your body will only store it. Fat has the role of making and keeping your hormonal health better and improved. So that is the amount of, so say if you're building a diet for yourself, keep your protein high, time your carbs around your workouts, okay, and don't worry about the water weight. It's just water weight. Even if you're eating a higher amount of carbs and you've put on a little weight, that's just water weight. And keep your fats lower. So fat should remain around 30 to 40 to 50 grams of fat per day, and it shouldn't matter if you're eating too many carbs and your weight is going up. So focus on eating good fats, 30 to 40, 50 grams of good fats for hormonal health. Other than that, you don't necessarily need any more fat. So that is about it. You can use all of this information to plan your own cut. What you need to basically focus on is calories in versus calories out. If you're eating less than you're spending, you lose body fat. That is what you need to focus on. The rest of it is just nitty gritties that can make it more optimal and efficient. So yeah, that's about it. That was it for this episode, but I'll come back with another episode. The next one will be about my daily diet, what I am exactly eating on this cut, which starts from the 1st of April, the 1st of June. Yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you when I start on the 1st, and we'll start out with my daily diet.